Mangwana ni mwalelepo vukenjani kekwas vanave Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, the news and current affairs show bringing you everything you need to know happening on the African continent and beyond. You are joined by Ashwin Berry and Diana Master. How are you, Diana?
Welcome. I'm doing well, thank you.
Welcome back. It's good to have you back on the show for the first time this year.
It's good to be back. Happy New Year. This is the first time we're seeing each other.
Yes, indeed. Yes. Yeah. Looking forward to a fantastic year.
We are definitely looking forward to a fantastic year, but the year has started off quite terribly.
Yeah, it seems like Cat Williams opened up a Pandora's box and the news just keeps rolling.
It just keeps rolling. I mean, starting from the very first day, there was that major earthquake in Japan.
Absolutely.
So it seems like... But anyway, getting into what you can expect in today's broadcast, Somaliland minister quits over port deal with Ethiopia. TB Joshua, Megachurch leader, raped and tortured worshippers, BBC finds, and Zuma not expelled from ANC, says MK. We'll also be crossing over to Zambia a little later on in the show to be discussing all the news making headlines that side with Mike Suchila. We'll now be taking a quick ad break and returning with our top stories.
Now getting into our top stories, the defense minister of the self-declared Republic of Somaliland has resigned in protest against a deal granting Ethiopia access to a seaport in the breakaway region of Somalia. Abdikwani Mohamud Ateye criticized Somaliland President Muse Bihi Abdi for not consulting the Council of Ministers on the port deal with Ethiopia. Now Ateye hails from Somaliland's Awdal region, where Ethiopia reportedly wants to set up its military base in the coastal town of Lugaya.
Getting into our next story, evidence of widespread abuse and torture by the founder of one of the world's biggest Christian evangelical churches has been uncovered by the BBC. Dozens of ex-synagogue Church of All Nations members, 5 British, allege atrocities including rape and forced abortions by Nigeria's late TB Joshua. The allegations of abuse in a secretive Lagos compound span almost 20 years. The Synagogue Church of All Nations did not respond to the allegations, but said previous claims have been unfounded. TB Joshua, who died in 2021, was a charismatic and hugely successful preacher and televangelist who had an immense global following. The BBC's finding over a 2-year investigation include dozens of eyewitness accounts of physical violence or torture carried out by Joshua, including instances of child abuse and people being whipped and chained. Numerous women who say they were sexually assaulted by Joshua, with a number claiming they were repeatedly raped for years inside the compound. Multiple allegations of forced abortions inside the church following the alleged rapes by Joshua, including one woman who says she had 5 terminations. Multiple first-hand accounts detailing how Joshua faked his miracle healings, which were broadcast to millions of people around the world.
Now in South Africa, the MK party has confirmed that former President Jacob Zuma has not been expelled from the ANC. This comes after remarks made by ANC Secretary General Fikile Mbalula at the ANC cadre meeting on Sunday that Zuma had not been expelled by the ANC but had expelled himself. Mbalula said the ANC would not take Zuma through disciplinary processes because he was gone already. According to Mbalula, Zuma was in breach of the ANC constitution by opening his own political party. MK spokesperson Hlamulo Ndlela told the Citizen Zuma remains a staunch ANC member. President J.G. Zuma stated at the press announcement on December 16 last year that he is still an ANC member and he will die a member of the ANC, Ndlela said.
A former Gambian minister under ousted dictator Yahya Jammeh went on trial in Switzerland on Monday for crimes against humanity in a milestone case where a serial rape victim will testify after a multi-decade wait for justice. Former Interior Minister Osman Sonko becomes the highest-ranking official to be tried in Europe under the principle of universal jurisdiction, which allows grave crimes to be prosecuted anyway, said the Swiss campaign group Trial International, which filed the complaint against him. 9 Gambian plaintiffs are coming to Switzerland for the hearing at the Federal Criminal Court in Bellinzona. Binta Jamba, one of the plaintiffs who alleges Sonko raped her multiple times, stood outside the courtroom carrying a sign reading "Bring Jammeh and his accomplices to justice." Sonko, 54, faces charges including murder, multiple rapes and torture between 2000 to 2016 in what is Switzerland's second trial ever for crimes against humanity. He, of course, denies the charges.
And in the last of our top stories, Kenya is facing backlash over the visa-free entry policy introduced for all foreigners this month, with some terming it hectic. President William Ruto announced the policy last month to advocate for visa-free travel within the African continent. Kenyan authorities have since clarified that while the country grants visa-free entry, visitors need to apply for electronic travel authorization by submitting documentation and paying $30 processing fee. Now, some foreigners are now criticizing the government, saying that the new policy has created confusion and made travel to Kenya tougher and costlier. Dear Africans, Kenya is not telling the world the truth when it says that it is now visa-free. It is not. It has in fact made traveling there more difficult for Africans who didn't need a visa before, prominent Zimbabwean journalist Hopo Chinono said on X. Those have been our top stories on Africa Good Morning. After the break, we talk to Mike Sichula about the cholera outbreak in Zambia, amongst other stories. Stay with us.
Connection. It's in the human touch, the feeling of belonging. It inspires us and empowers us, creates clarity from complexity. It starts new conversations, unlocks the power of advice, and makes an impact on your life. At Alex Forbes, we pioneer insight to provide you with advice that connects your decisions of today to your impact tomorrow.
All right, it's time for us to talk to Mike Sichula in Zambia about the top stories from the real Africa. Good morning, Mike, for the first time this year.
Good morning, thank you. Good morning, and a happy new year to our dear viewers. Thank you very much for having me.
Compliments of the season indeed. However, we start off with a story that has been developing over the last couple of months, the cholera outbreak in Zambia. Please give us an update.
Thank you very much. Yes, so far as we speak, over 250 people have died from the waterborne disease since the disease broke out in October last year. So in order to sort out the problem, the government has since designated Lusaka Heroes National Stadium as a cholera center because of increased numbers in health facilities. That there in the picture, our viewers can see members of the task force that has been working tirelessly to ensure that the outbreak is brought under control, inspecting the facility. So what the government has done so far again is that they are trying to bury or shadow water wells where people are getting water to drink. And the government has since moved in to provide free water across compounds that are highly contributing to the outbreak of cholera. As you can see there, water tanks being provided to the people, and water browsers are giving people free water. Then also members of the community and the corporate world has also joined efforts to ensure that there's distribution of chlorine to people who do not have chlorine so that they can treat their drinking water. Then also President Hakainde Hichilema, who was on holiday at his farm, has since cut short his holiday to ensure that he comes and see what he can do in terms of offering a policy direction to the fight against the disease. So it is expected that President Hichilema is going to probably add military personnel to get involved into the cleaning of the cities. It can be contained the disease that is claiming at least 20 people on a daily basis.
All right, now, Mr. Sichula, moving on. It seems army worms have invaded some maize fields across Zambia. Do tell us more.
Yes, army worms have invaded maize fields across Zambia, according to the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Mr. Green Mbozi. He says the outbreak of was perceived to be only in selected districts of the country, like Kitwe. From their find, the army worms have invaded most maize fields across the country. So he says, as our viewers may be predominantly staple food for Zambia, and anything that threatens the cultivation of maize poses a serious threat on their food security. So the government has since mobilized a lot of money to push a extension office moved into districts that have been heavily affected so that they can distribute chemicals to farmers who may not have finances to fund the treating of their maize fields. So this is something that the government is saying that the earlier the better the disease is fought, then the food security is going to be protected.
All right, Mike, now on a rather sad note, a beer drinking competition turned tragic. Please give us the details.
This is a very sad story coming from Mazabuka in the southern part of Zambia, where 3 men of Nakambara compound in Mazabuka are battling for their lives at Mazabuka General Hospital after drinking a local brew commonly known chasu. So the 3 men fell victim following a drinking competition at a joint at the market on Sunday afternoon, in which they were eyeing 100 kwacha, which is equivalent to $3. So the individuals put aside the 100 kwacha and challenged each other to finish 5 liters of the illicit brew. You can imagine 5 liters illicit brew, so that whoever was going to finish area was going to get the $3. But this did not happen, as none of the 3 managed to complete the challenge, as they became unconscious after drinking 4 liters of the beer. As we speak, most the victims are in hospital, but according to sources, they are responding well to treatment, and they are expected to be discharged probably during the course of this week.
That is truly horrific. And it's not the first story we're hearing of people falling sick after drinking so much beer. I mean, in China, we had that influencer that died from taking on these challenges. Now, the last of your stories, Mr. Suchula, moving over to sports. Zambia will tonight face Cameroon in an international friendly match in Saudi Arabia. How are they preparing?
Well, the preparations have been going on well. The national team is actually has set base in Saudi Arabia. From there, they'll have to connect to the coast. So they connect to Ivory Coast today. They're going to face the indomitable Lions of Cameroon in one of their friendly matches that the Football of Zambia has lined up. So it is expected that from this friendly match, Coach Avram Grant is probably to his first 11 that is going to feature when Zambia takes on the Democratic Republic of Congo once the tournament kicks off. So a lot of expectations among Zambian football fans. Generally speaking, a lot of Zambians are not so excited that the team may finish as winners of the tournament, because probably only one of the players who featured 2012 winning national team is present, that is Tofira Nsuzu. Most of the players that were selected for this encounter are playing their first Africa Cup of Nations. But there is also another set of fans who believe that Coach Avram Grant has got what it takes to ensure that Zambia wins their second Africa Cup of Nations.
All right, we'll certainly be keeping an eye on Zambia's efforts to snatch the crown. Thank you very much, Mike, for bringing us the news stories from Zambia.
Thank you very much. Africa, good morning. Compliments of the season to our viewers once again.
Now let's take a look at the weather predictions before we return with our economic news.
Welcome to What's Cooking, where culinary passion meets expert insights.
Somebody must really want to cook and want to cook good food.
Immerse yourself in the bustling world of professional kitchens as top chefs create mouthwatering dishes. Join us for in-depth interviews as our host explores the experiences and expertise of our guest chefs. Don't miss out. Tune in to What's Cooking on NTV every Friday at 2100 hours and let the culinary adventure begin.
All right, we swing back to South Africa, where the buzzwords, if you Google, that will show up are likely Jacob Zuma, Julius Malema, and certainly Eskom. National Power Utility Eskom has yet again come under intense scrutiny as it implemented load shedding, contradicting earlier assurances of an uninterrupted power supply at the start of the new year. City Press reported that Valley Padayache, a power and electricity expert with a background in Eskom and Johannesburg City Power, asserts that Eskom's maintenance practices are the root cause of the issue, claiming that the utility tends to overcommit to maintenance work, straining the limited teams available for these tasks. Eskom defended the recent load shedding by citing issues such as units not ready for operation as expected and the unexpected breakdown of several units. The power utility reported that 8,451 megawatts of generation capacity was offline for planned maintenance, with an additional 16,231 megawatts out of service due to breakdowns.
Meanwhile, Libya's state-owned energy firm has declared a state of force majeure at Al Sharara oil field after protests disrupted production at the facility. Force majeure is a legal measure that exempts contractual parties from any obligations arising due to an event beyond their control, such as fighting, natural disasters. The field, which had daily production of up to 300,000 barrels, was closed a few days ago following protests in the area, the National Oil Corporation, NOC, said in a statement. The closure has resulted in the suspension of crude oil supplies from the field to Zawiya terminal, the oil company said. The NOC did not elaborate on the protesters' demands, but said negotiations are ongoing to resume production as soon as possible. Libya's oil output has been frequently disrupted by social and political protests since the uprising against its former leader, Muammar Gaddafi, in 2011.
All right, those have been our economic news stories. We're going to swing over to the indicators just before Ari Hohad shows up with the sport.
Neo Paints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neo Paints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neo Paints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
All right, so I was excited to have Ari Hohad on the show. We did have him on yesterday, but it would have been good to have him on today because Ari, Diana, and myself are nominated for NTV Presenter's Choice. No? Is it?
Yes.
People's Choice?
Viewers' Choice.
Presenter.
For presenter.
For presenter.
Yes.
So, you know, as much as we're nominated for different shows, for me, the real W is that we are all Africa Good Morning personnel. And I like that. I like that a lot. All right, let's get into our top stories for sport. FA Cup holders Manchester City seem to face a tricky trip to Tottenham Hotspur, while informed Aston Villa have been drawn to face Chelsea at Stamford Bridge in the fourth round. Third place champion City are a point above Spurs with a game in hand in the Premier League table, while Villa are flying high in second spot with Chelsea languishing in 10th. 12-time FA Cup winners Manchester United face a fourth-round match at either Newport County or Eastleigh after their 2-0 win at Wigan Athletic on Monday. Fulham welcome Newcastle United and Sheffield United host Brighton and Hove Albion in other all-Premier League ties, with matches scheduled to be played over the January 27 to 28 weekend. League leaders Liverpool, who knocked Arsenal out in the third round, received a more favourable draw on Monday. Jurgen Klopp's team will host the winners of the replay between Norwich City and Bristol Rovers.
Now getting into our next story, Tiger Woods, who has worn Nike apparel since first signing with the company as a newly professional 20-year-old, has parted ways with the sportswear giant. The 15-time major champion said on Monday in a social media post. Woods, now 48, signed his first 5-year, $40 million contract with Nike in 1996 and renewed it repeatedly in one of the most lucrative endorsement deals in sports history, while dominating the game like no other player of his generation. His last deal was a 10-year pact in 2013 worth a reported $200 million. Woods, who returned to competition late last November after a 7-month injury layoff, ended his statement with "See you in LA," suggesting he's planning on playing the February 15th to 18th Genesis Invitational at Riviera Country Club. Over 27 years ago, I was fortunate to start a partnership with one of the most iconic brands in the world, Woods wrote on X. Throughout the course of our partnership, we have witnessed, along with the rest of the world, how Tiger not only redefined the sport of golf, but broke barriers for all of sport, Nike said in a statement.
All right. I mean, I only have one qualm with that entire story, the statement where they said in his generation. No, in all generations. It is Tiger Woods at the top, then there's some space, and then, you know, we go from second. So from golf to golf, Coco Golf is poised to build on last year's breakout season after the American teenager defended her crown at the Australian Open tune-up event in Auckland last weekend. After claiming her first Grand Slam title at the US Open last September, Golf opted to work on her game on the practice courts in a hot and humid Florida rather than going on vacation to recharge her body and mind. It paid dividends as she cruised through her first 4 matches in New Zealand without dropping a set before being forced to dig deep against dangerous veteran Elina Svitolina in the final.
Now, Qatar returns to the spotlight on Friday, little more than a year after the first World Cup held in the Arab world, when the relocated and delayed 2023 Asian Cup gets underway amid a seismic shift in football's global order. Fueled by massive sums of Saudi cash following huge investment from Qatar and the United Arab Emirates, West Asia is now undoubtedly the dominant financial power in the game, but it remains to be seen whether that transfers to preeminence on the pitch. Qatar go into the tournament as defending champions, having picked up their first title 5 years ago with a surprise victory over 4-time champions Japan in Abu Dhabi. Following China's withdrawal as host because of its rigid zero-COVID policy, Qatar will now also stage the tournament for the 3rd time in its 68-year history. China's footballing gold rush has petered out since it won hosting rights, and Saudi Arabia has emerged as one of the most powerful forces in the game. Emboldened by Qatar's successes in hosting the 2022 edition, the Saudis emerged as the only candidate to host the 2034 World Cup, having already organized the Club World Cup and won the rights to host the 2027 Asian Cup. Those moves have come after a major recruitment drive by Saudi Pro League clubs led by the arrival of Cristiano Ronaldo that has thrown further shade on their neighbors.
All right, those have been our sports stories. We'll be back with the highlights.
All right, for those of you that are just joining us, this is Africa Good Morning. Let's take a look at the highlights from today's broadcast. Somaliland minister quits over port deal with Ethiopia. An update on TB Joshua, Megachurch leader raped and tortured worshippers, BBC finds. Maintenance concerns Eskom under fire for early return of 2024 load shedding.
All right, those have been our stories 2 days into the year as far as Africa Good Morning goes. Over 300 to go, and we're absolutely excited for the journey with you. Don't miss us on DSTV 285, GoTV 25, 1up2.com, NTV on Facebook, as well as all Namibia Media Holdings pages on Facebook and YouTube. But for now, from Diana Master and Ashwin Berry, Sureja Kanaka.